the day was well nigh gone, when they came near to the greenwood tree. Even at distance they saw by the number of men that Little John had come back with some guests, but when they came near enough, whom should they find but the Lord Bishop of Hereford? The good bishop was in a fine stew, I vow. Up and down he walked beneath the tree like a fox caught in a hen-coop. Behind him were the Black Friars, standing close together in a frightened group like 3 black sheep in a tempest. Hitched to the branches of the tree close at hand were 6 horses, one of them a barb with grey tappings upon which the bishop was wont to ride, and the others laden with packs of divers shapes and kinds, one of which made Robin's eyes glisten, for it was a box not over large, but heavily bound with bands and ribbons of iron. When the bishop saw Robin, and those with him came into the open, he made as though he would have run towards the yeoman, but the fellow that guarded the bishop and the 3 friars thrust his quarterstaff in front, so that his lordship was fain to stand back, through with throwing bows and angry speech. "Stay, my lord bishop," cried jolly Robin in a loud voice, when he saw what had passed. "I will come to thee with all speed, for I would rather see thee than any man in merry England." So saying, he quickened his steps, and soon came to where the bishop stood, fuming. "How now?" quoth the bishop in a loud and angry voice, when Robin had come to him. "Is this the way that thou and thy band tread one so high as the church as I am? I and these brethren were passing peacefully along the high road with our pack horses, and a half-score of men to guard them, when up comes a great strapping fellow full 7 feet high, with 80 or more men back of him, and calls up on me to stop. Me, the Lord Bishop of Hereford. Mark thou, thereupon my armed guards, bestew them for cowards, straight run away. But look ye, not only did his fellow stop me, but he threatened me, saying that Robin Hood would strip me as bare as a winter hedge. Then besides of this, he called me such a vile name as fat priest, mean man-eating bishop, money-gorging user, and what not, as though I were no more than a strolling badger or tinker. At this the bishop glared like an angry cat, while even Sir Richard laughed. Only Robin kept a grave face. "Alas, my lord," said he, "that thou hast been so ill-treated by my hand. I tell thee truly that we greatly revenge thy cloak. Little John, stand forth straightway." At these words Little John came forward, twisting his face into a whimsical look, as though he would say, "Ha mercy upon me, good master." Then Robin turned to the Bishop of Hereford and said, "Was this the man who spake so boldly to your lordship?" "Aye, truly it was the same," said the bishop. "A naughty fellow, I vow." "And didn't thou, Little John," said Robin in a sad voice, "call this Lord Bishop a fat priest?" "Aye," said Little John sorrowful. "And a man-eating bishop?" "Aye," said Little John more sorrowful than before. "And a money-gorging usurer?" "Aye," said Little John in so sorrowful a voice that it might have drawn tears from the dragon of Ventley. Alas, that these things should be, said jolly Robin, turning to the bishop. For I have ever found Little John a truthful man. At this a roar of laughter went up, wherein the blood rushed into the bishop's face till it was cherry red from crown to chin. But he saw nothing and only swallowed his words, though they well nigh choked him. Nay, my lord bishop, said Robin, we are rough fellows, but I trust not such ill men as thou thinkest after all. There is not a man here that I would harm a hair to of thy reverend's head. I know thou art gallant by our heasting, but we are all equal here in the greenwood. For there are no bishops, no barons, no earls among us, only but men. So thou must share our life with us while thou dost abide here. Come back ye, my merry men, and get the feast ready. Meanwhile, we will show our guests our woodland sports. So, while some went to kill the fires for roasting meat, others ran leaping to get their cudgels and longbows, when Robin brought forward Sir Richard of the Lea. My lordship, said he, here is another guest that we have with us this day. I wish that thou mightest know him better, for I and all my merry men will strive to honour you both at this merry-making. Sir Richard, said the bishop in a reproachful tone, methinketh thou and I are companions and fellow sufferers in this den of, he was about to say thieves. But he stopped suddenly and looked askant at Robin Hood. Speak out, bishop, quoth Robin, laughing. We of Sherwood check not an easy flow of words. Den of thieves, thou wast to say, quoth the bishop. Mayhap that was what I meant to say, Sir Richard, but this I will say, that I saw thee just now low at this scurrilous yeast of these fellows. It would have been more becoming of thee, methinketh, to have checked them with frowns instead of surprising them on by laughter. I meant no harm to thee, said Sir Richard, but a merry yeast is a merry yeast, and I may truly say I would have laughed at it had it been against mine own self. But now Robin Hood called upon certain ones of his band, who spread soft moss up on the ground and laid deer skins thereupon. Then Robin bade his guest to be seated, and so they all three sat down, some of the chief men, such as Little John, Will Scarlet, Allan a Dale, and others, stretching themselves up on the ground nearby. Then a garland was set up at the far end of the glade, and thereupon the bowmen shot, and such shooting was done that the day was it would have made one's heart leap to see. And all the while Robin Hood talked so quaintly to the bishop and the knight that the one forgetting his vexinance and the other his troubles, they both laughed loud again and again. Then Allan a Dale came forth and turned his harp, and all was hushed around, and he sung in his wondrous voice songs of love, of war, of glory, and of sadness, and all listened without a movement or a sound. So Allan sang till the great round silver moon gleamed with its clear white light amid the upper tails of the massy branches of the trees. At least 2 fellows came to say that the feast was ready to spread. So Robin, leaping his guests with either hand, brought them to where great smoke dishes that sent savoury smells far and near stood along the white linen cloth spread on the grass. all around was glare of torches that lit everything up with red light. Then straightway sitting down, all fell to with noise and hubbub, the rattling of platters blending with the sitting down, the sound of loud talking and laughter. A long time the feast lasted, but at last all was over, and the bright wine and humming ale passed briskly. Then Robin Hood called aloud for silence, and all was hushed till he spoke. "I have a story to tell you all, so listen to what I have to say," quoth he. Thereupon, without more ado, he told them all about Sir Richard and how his lands were in pawn. But as he had went on, the bishop's face, that had erst been smiling and rubbing with merriment, waxed serious, and he put aside the horn of the wine and held in his hand, for he had known the story of Sir Richard, and his heart sank within him with grim forebodings. Then, when Robin Hood had done, he turned to the Bishop of Hereford. "Now, my lord bishop," he said, "dost thou not think this is ill done for anyone, much more of a churchman who would live in humbleness and charity?" To this the bishop answered not a word, but looked upon the ground with moody eyes.